Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host, and we have a very special guest today. This man is going to fix the problems with the Las Cruces School Board. This is Eloy Francisco Macha Camborda.
There you go, Dave. Thank you.
That's a heck of a name.
It is. Eloy Francisco Macha Camborda. So Macha is from my dad,
Okay.
And then Camborda is from my mom.
Now that's funny because here in the U.S., it's usually the wife is the first name hyphenated and then the husband's name in the back. But you were explaining to me a little bit where the husband and wife keep both names and shows respect and the unity of the family. I like that.
That is correct. This is one of those interesting traditions that we have in Latin America, and, as a Hispanic from Peru, where when my mom and my dad were born, they were married, us kids were born, myself and my three brothers. And yes, for example, my oldest brother, his name is Alfredo Felipe Macha Camborda. Then my two other brothers, Rafael Eduardo Macha Camborda, myself, Eloy Francisco Macha Camborda, and then my younger brother, Juan Alejandro.
I like
Macha
that. That's
Camborda.
one thing that we're missing is the unity of the family and the respect for the family and to keep that history.
Well, then there you go. That's the beauty about this, right? When you look at names like this, right, your last name or your surname, Macha Camborda, that's an honor for the heritage that came behind that, the legacy of the Machas, the legacy of the Cambordas. Dave, I was reading an interesting article the other day around, hey, let's look at the last maybe 12 generations. So each generation is roughly maybe 25 years, plus or minus.
Okay.
So if we look at the last 10 generations, which is 250 years, plus or minus, a little bit more, there's roughly about 4,000 plus people that were involved in those generations. In other words, in order for myself to be here or yourself to be here,
wow,
those 4,000 people had to have experienced love, pain, suffering, happiness, the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the ugly of their lives in a manner that had to occur in order for you and myself to be born.
Wow.
Talk
about connections.
I mean, right there, that's one of those beauty aspects of history that we have to honor, we have to respect. And that right there, David, is one of the interesting motivations as to why we have to make sure our schools. Well,
our system is trying to change history.
Yes, they are.
But so it's not true.
There you go.
The good and the bad is fine, but there's people that learn from mistakes, that change. Yes, we've made mistakes, but we are still the greatest country in the world, I believe.
Oh,
that's why so many people come here. You came all the way from Peru in South America.
Yeah, a lot of immigrants, not just myself. No. The United States of America is the land of immigrants. Since its inception, back in 1776, 1796, we've opened up our doors for immigrants, those that want to become Americans.
What is that saying? Give me you're poor and you're hungry, I think it was.
The statue, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
I mean, that's a beautiful opening. And that right there tells you that America is a land of opportunity. It's a land of welcoming. It's a land of open arms. But only if you're coming here to become an American. So what is an American? So this is where the founding principles of our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, we're a land of laws. So those immigrants and everybody here that's born here, that's kind of our responsibility.
Well, you're an immigrant that's a major success story. Yes. Now you came to the U.S. and you've got a degree or a couple of degrees in engineering, is it?
That is correct. Electrical engineering here at NMSU back in 1997.
Wow.
And again, it's possible because of all the opportunities. It's funny, I was talking to a couple of friends the other day. Here's this little kid that came from Peru, myself, 20, 30 some years ago, back in the 1980s. Fast forward where I am today, I have this double E degree. But I also have been able to achieve about 5, 6 patents under my name. So I'm a recognized innovator.
Double E is 2 engineering degrees.
It's 1 engineer, electrical engineering.
Okay.
I am pursuing a master's degree as well.
Okay.
And then I'm involved in a lot of research and development.
And patents.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of work.
But only in America is this possible, where the land of opportunity allows everyone.
Now, you came from Peru, and I think Peru started to show signs of socialism when you were leaving.
That is correct.
So you know what socialism is and how it develops from democracy, if you want to call it that. We are a representative republic.
There you go.
People make that mistake. We are not a democracy. Democracy means that everybody has a voice, but we have a representative republic. So
that is correct.
So you've seen and you know. The fact, you know what, folks, I'm very impressed with people that come to our country as immigrants, and now Frank is running for office. Eloy is running for office. Remember that. Eloy, pick the biggest name on the ballot for school board, District 3, and it's Eloy Francisco Macha Gamborda.
Yes, sir.
That's the guy you want to vote for. So I'm very impressed, and I'm so happy that you are willing. And your children, you have 2 children that are in the National Guard, I believe.
That is correct.
So you are fully invested in the United States.
Yes, yes. When me and Sandra, we took our oath of naturalization, that oath of loyalty is huge.
I give you a lot of credit. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. So now, we got a lot of problems going on in our school system.
We do.
I mean, I've been to school board meetings where we talk about JBC. Mm-hmm. Now, it's equity and excellence, but really it's the lead-in into critical race theory.
Correct.
That's how I read it. And when I went and argued at school board and says, well, show me, folks, where are the complaints? The school board, I said, where are the complaints from the parents or the students that there is inequity and there's not excellence in these schools? Well, I'll just say inequity. Because, no, we don't have excellence because we are a 50 out of the United States. 50 out of 50 states. We're either 50 or 49, one or the other. But that's terrible. That's our school system. So, what do you see?
So, this is where it's a little mind-boggling, right? So here we are, 2021. We're number 50. Let's go back. Maybe 30 years ago, I was reading some statistics. New Mexico was in the 20s. Maybe we were 28th ranking in education. Okay, so that's interesting. Data point number 1. Data point number 2, 2018, our graduation rate was 90%, but our proficiency rate was in the 30s.
Meaning that these kids are not ready to go out into the world.
They're not ready, but if you go back 30 years ago, when we were at 28th or plus or minus, our graduation rate was between 60 and 70, but guess what? Our proficiency rate was also between 60 and 70. So what happened over the last 30 years? Over the last 30 years, education policies, resolutions, regulations, top down, from the legislator, from the executive branch, from our Supreme Courts, from our judiciary, all the way to the PED, the Public Education Department, and including here at the school district, have come together to lead us where we are today.
Some people would call it dumbing down.
We are
not coming to the standards that you need. How can you turn a kid loose and expect them to make a living with a 30% proficiency in reading, writing, math?
Exactly.
You can't even make change.
You can't. And so this is where, in my conversations, door knocking, canvassing, a lot of business leaders are telling me, Francisco, we have a huge problem here. Our students are not ready for the real world. I'm not able to spend time investing in them because then I need to focus on my business. So this is where the education system is such an important pillar of our community. As a community, what happens in our education system is a reflection of what our community is going to be in the coming years.
Certainly.
So, for example, high schoolers, right? In about 4 to 6 years, once they graduate, we will see the reflection of them in our community. Same with our elementary schools. 12 to 16, 20 years from now, that investment that we're putting in them, we will see it in our community.
Are they going to be welfare recipients, or are they going to be productive citizens that are going to be paying taxes to help grow our community and grow businesses and all? So how do you see, once you are elected to school board, District 3, remember, Eloy Francisco Macha Gamborda. Make sure you vote, folks. Early and in person, I think, because then there's less chance of hanky-panky going on. But how are you going to fix the system?
So first and foremost, it's about accountability, Dave.
Okay.
What does accountability mean? To your point earlier, we're a republic, representative republic, which means we are accountable to our constituents. Okay. So District 3, there's roughly 14,000 eligible voters. But it's not just about the voters, it's all the community members inside my District 3.
Because everybody feels that reflection of the lack of students.
Exactly.
Or lack of commitment.
And it's not just the parents. There's this myth that it's only about the parents. It's only about the students and parents that are there. Wrong. Grandparents, parents, community members, business leaders, and whatnot. All of them have a vested interest in ensuring that our education system is producing
Sure, if
results.
You have delinquent children, that's going to affect the whole community.
Amen.
Drugs, crime, Homelessness.
Exactly.
Sure.
So accountability is a top notch. I mean, it's one of
And
the
accountability of the school board members.
Exactly.
That
So
sets policy.
that's what we do.
And elects the superintendent, too.
That they do. And they also are involved in a lot of the budget decisions, where to allocate funds,
Right.
what grants to pursue, what grants not to pursue. I mean, that's a whole other ball of wax, Dave. But at the end of the day, it's being accountable and also being transparent. So from my perspective, it's about taking those school board meetings to the cafeterias, to the gyms, actually making it more accessible
to the individual schools.
Yes.
Not to have it at a location. And how about the time? How can parents that are both working make these school board meetings if they're conflicting with their work schedule?
Exactly. This is where all those changes need to occur, so that it needs to be available for everyone. Parents, grandparents, community members, even educators themselves. There's this other myth that, hey, educators can only have a talking influence through their representatives, quote, quote, basically the unions.
Right.
That's wrong. Educators are also constituents of the school board members. In other words, they have to have a seat on the table to each of the representatives of theirs. Of the school board members.
Okay.
So this notion that educators can only talk through one avenue is wrong.
Well, I think educators are afraid, too. I think because the unions hold this dagger over them,
Yes.
if you speak out of line and you don't do what the unions want, we're going to find a way to get rid of you or pigeonhole you somewhere that you don't want to be. So, the teachers are in a real tough spot. They
are.
want to teach our kids,
Yes.
but they're not allowed to teach our kids.
Right.
Not what the parents want. So I've been to school board meetings, and they don't listen to what you say. They don't do what you want. When you're talking about accountability, they are not accountable to us.
We need to change it, and we're going to change that, Dave. That is our promise.
Folks, you know how to change it? You elect the right people. Eloy, Francisco, Macha, Camborda. That's who you want to elect.
Yes, sir.
So accountability.
Yes.
What else do you say?
So transparency, just make sure that everything is clear. When the resolution, policy, and whatnot is being made, it is transparent to all the community members. Hey, this is what influenced that. The other aspect is focusing all of our efforts to the future of our students. Make sure that every resource that the school district receives is felt directly in the classrooms. Without that, then why are we here? Why are our school board members there? The whole purpose of our school district, our education system, is for the success of our students.
Certainly.
We have to. Now, what that also means is the classroom is our front line, which means that we also have to take care of our educators. Now, this is where it goes back to the commentary, right, around the school board members actually being partners as well with our educators, instead of this through this representative. There are a lot of educators that are passionate about this. That, hey, they're there because they want to see their students grow. They want to put that little spark in their students so that, oh, wow, huge impact that they have. We want to make sure that all those educators have that support from the school district.
And if you don't, they're not going to be around. They're going to find some other job.
And
but I've had a little taste of what teaching's like. And when you have students or young adults that are like, they have that look, that wow look. When you tell them something that really connects, it's like, wow, that's powerful stuff.
It is.
And I know our teachers want that.
Yes, a lot of that. I mean, I am a catechist. I teach Sunday schools. And there are those interesting points, just like how you described it, Dave. When you're describing something and then
the light goes on. That spark right there, that is so beautiful to see. Yeah, that really makes you feel good, like you're doing something right. And I know there's frustrated teachers out there that they can't do what they want to do, and they can't do what the parents want them to do. Now, when parents speak up at a school board meeting, what I hear, they're considered domestic terrorists now. Our Attorney General is considering parents that speak up at a school board as domestic terrorists.
So this is crazy. Over the last 3 weeks, the National School Board Association of America came in saying, hey, Biden administration, we need your help. We feel threatened because all of a sudden there's a lot of people that are making angry comments on school board meetings. Well, wait a minute. They're frustrated, and this is the only avenue that a lot of parents, grandparents, community members have.
What other way do they have?
Exactly.
I mean, except for elections. Now, look, we're going to have to take a break, but let's come back and really dig into this subject because it's so important. Folks, we'll be right back. Eloy, Francisco, Macha, Camborda. Got it. Don't forget that on the ballot. We'll be back after a short break.
Hello, I'm Eloy Francisco Macha, candidate for School Board District 3. It is paramount for our schools in preparing our students for their pursuits, including university, trade school, or direct work, amongst others. Our school system needs to continuously meet the needs, skills, and demands of the evolving modern workforce. Join me in accelerating the modernization of our school systems to further prepare our students for the workforce of the future. I'm Eloy Francisco Macha, School Board District 3.
Redness, burning, itchy feet. You may be suffering from athlete's foot and be eligible for a clinical trial. 3A Research is conducting a clinical trial of an investigational drug for treating athlete's foot. This is a 6-week study. We will compensate your time, travel, and reimbursement of up to $225. Contact our office, 3A Research with Michael Raucci.
Call our offices today for more information. Serving El Paso and now open in Las Cruces. I hope to see you soon.
When the school board mismanages its financial fiduciary obligations, does not respect the will of the community, and pursues misguided policies not reflective of the community, we lose our trust and our parents deserve more. School board members are accountable for the regulations and policies they pursue. As these regulations and policies are debated, full transparency must occur in the deliberations with parents and the community. Trust is earned when the school board demonstrates its adherence to the will of the community. Join me in restoring accountability and transparency. I'm Eloy Francisco Macha, School Board District 3.
Paid for by Macha for LCPS.
Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus. We're here with a very special guest, the man that is going to fix the Las Cruces School Board, not single-handedly because he needs help, and we have people that are running as well that will help him, but he's got great ideas. Eloy Francisco Macha Gamborda. All right, so when we broke, we were talking about the domestic terrorists that are parents speaking up at the school board meetings.
So over the last 18 months, Dave, a lot of parents started to see what was really happening in their classrooms.
Right.
Thanks to Zoom, thanks to these remote
They're
classes.
engaging.
They're starting to engage. And in doing so, a lot of parents were going, well, wait a minute, I have concerns about this.
Right.
So a lot of parents have been attending school board meetings across the nation, including here in our community.
That's great.
Over the last 18 months. And they've been voicing their frustrations. A lot of them, bless their soul, this is the first time that they're actually getting involved, which is great. We
You know
need to get
why?
involved.
You know why? Because they trusted a government that's unworthy of their trust.
That's
So-
their realization, and this is why they're so frustrated. So they've been going to these meetings. Some of them is screaming, yes, because they're talking about their child. They're passionate about this. It's like, hey,
Sure.
what are you doing to my children, to my student? So yeah, they get a little heated, a little bit passionate. But what's crazy is now the National School Board Association is asking of Attorney General Garland, hey, you need to send the DHS and the FBI because these parents are threatening us.
Threatening? They're speaking out. Freedom of speech. They're their children. Did you ever see a mother bear protecting her cubs? They get pretty nasty. But these people are only using words.
Exactly.
So
This is where, wait a minute, what are they trying to protect? On one hand, you would think, man, that's an act of cowardice. If you believe in the policies you're putting together, then you should be able to receive that criticism
and speak out.
and speak out and say, hey,
defend it.
defend that policy. Exactly.
Sure.
But instead of defending the policies, they're now going to bring in the FBI, DHS.
This is the safe space crap that we hear. It's like, come on, folks, can't you take... My grandmother used to tell me, sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. So you know what? If you, like you said, if you believe what you're doing is right, stand up and defend it. If you can't defend it, it's not right.
There you go.
Okay.
And then, so there we're seeing that aspect. But there's other interesting narratives that's coming along, Dave, that's really, really scary that's tied to this.
Okay.
This was interesting. I stumbled on an interesting article a couple of weeks ago where the Education Secretary, Cardona, was being asked, hey, who's the primary stakeholder? So, you would think the primary stakeholder of education system, well, that's a common sense answer.
Well, it's the kids and the parents and the community.
So Secretary Cardona said, no, educators.
Educators?
He didn't say the primary stakeholders are the parents.
No, the educators are being paid. Of course, their heart's in it, the good teachers. But no, the parents and the students, that's the product.
So the students are the result of the education system is our students being capable, have the skills, they're impacting their future of ours. But it's the entire community.
Well, it's
so
true, yeah.
The entire community is the primary stakeholder of what's happening in our school district.
And they should have the say.
They should. They have to have the say. And that's why they're school board members. So the school board is a representation of the entire community.
Right, sure.
And this idea that, wait a minute, only certain people that know education policy should be in the school board, That's kind of a little odd.
Really what you need is common sense, and you got skin in the game. When your children are going to school, you have the most skin in the game.
Right, but also you need to have those members that can provide that vision, that guidance as to where we want the community to be. Okay. Where do we want it to be in the 5, 12, 20 years from now, so we can start setting policies.
Right.
What a policy gets implemented this year, for example, you're not going to see the effects for at least 2 to 6 years.
Okay.
So we need to make sure that you have the right school board members, the right composition to make good policies. Now, what's the other thing that's really scary here, Dave, here in New Mexico at least, there was a senator 3 years ago, that made this comment, that New Mexicans don't know how to teach their poor.
Oh yeah, Senator Stewart.
So
Don't know how to teach their poor. Well, wait a minute. Who's supposed to be teaching them?
there you go. So there's this narrative. When you see what Secretary Cardona and what Senator Stewart said over the last few years, there's this idea that only certain people know.
Oh, they know better. And yet, Frank, or Eloy, we are 50th out of 50 states. We are the worst state in the union. So obviously they don't know better. Maybe they ought to listen to the parents and the community and even the teachers if the teachers weren't being threatened by the unions.
Exactly. There you go. This is where, at least from my perspective, those local challenges need to be solved locally. Local solutions will solve those local challenges.
And listen, folks, nothing is going to change until you elect the right people. Eloy Francisco Macha Gamborda is the right person. And people like Eloy are the right people. And nothing's going to change until you elect the right people. So get out to vote. Early voting's already started. You can go to the county building now until the 16th at Motel Boulevard. And from the 16th on to Election Day, you can go to New Mexico State University Corbett Center. You can go to City Hall that's next to the library. Or you can go to the Sonoma Elementary School that's out on East Mesa. Early and in person is where you can make sure that your vote counts and counts correctly, and you elect the right people.
There you go, Dave. I appreciate that. Our voice has to be heard. As a community, we have to stand up. We have to get involved locally so that we can start making the right changes for the future of our community.
Absolutely.
We have to.
Absolutely. Our kids are at stake. If a child is educated properly, they can get a good job. And then maybe if we get city council to get the business community rolling, we can have partnerships with our students. And it's not all college. It could be trade schools. It could be apprenticeships in business.
So Dave, allow me to kind of paint an interesting vision. I like how you were highlighting that. Imagine, 5, 10 years from now, where we have our community members, our business leaders, working hand in hand with our school administrations. So now we can have actually this interesting symbiotic relationship where our students are now directly impacting our community at the age of 14, 15, 16.
Sure.
And then once they graduate, they stay here. A lot of our bright students right now, do they stay in New Mexico?
No, there's nothing here for them.
Exactly. So this is that opportunity. I'm a firm believer in this. We can address this problem where we can keep our students by making sure that they start making that immediate impact to our community.
Right.
And now we start bringing in other businesses, more opportunities for them.
Right.
And then voila, before you know it, we're going to be starting climbing from number 50 to number 40 to number 30.
Right.
Why can't we be number 1? I know we can, Dave.
Of course we can. When we're doing social engineering in our schools, this is a waste of time.
It is.
I was a cop in Philadelphia for 25 years. I saw race relations in the 70s improve. And now they want to introduce this critical race theory with a nice name. It's called JBC. It's Equity and Excellence. It's the same thing. It's leading into that. The kids aren't being taught math. They're not being taught how to handle money, budget. They're not being taught true history.
There you go.
They're not being taught how to read or write. This is what they need in order to get out there and get a job.
Those core skills, those core skills. Basic, reading, writing, being able to articulate, express ideas, math, sciences, and whatnot.
Yes.
Just really quick, the social studies standards are being changed. Your comment about JBC or the Equity and Excellence. Right now, the administrators are saying, no, that's not CRT, but it is. They're going to be introducing power, class conflict, struggles, social justice. They're going to be introducing critical race theory themes into our social studies standards. That is so wrong. They're wrong priorities because of social engineering.
Sure.
We need to go back to basics, Dave.
Well, not only that. Imagine, the white children are minorities here in the area. You're actually pitting children against children. You're telling those children that they should be ashamed of their skin color. whether it's white, black, green, red, it doesn't matter.
We're a multi-ethnic community here. We've had great race relationships over the
Sure
last
we have.
50 years, and then some. It has improved. Yes, there's some little blemishes here and there.
We can work that out.
But good, this goes back to history. Again, let's understand what happened. But this idea that, hey, we have to cancel history. Oh, we have to learn this oppression nonsense.
And I'm oppressive because I'm white? Come on. You tell a child because they're white, they're oppressive.
No.
They've been oppressed people. I've never owned a slave. My grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather never owned a slave. But if they did, we learn as we move along.
Exactly. And that's the other one. We're not guilty of the sins of our ancestors.
No.
Again, this goes back to the conversation we had earlier.
Sure.
All those 4,000 plus people had to go through what they had to go through for you to be here.
Right.
But we cannot answer for them. We can learn from what happened,
Right.
The good and bad, and make sure that we don't make mistakes, if you will. But this idea that, oh my gosh, I'm going to dig up the past and I'm offended because of this and so on and so forth. That's so wrong. Right? All of us are children of God.
Yes.
We are here in it
Amen.
together. We're going to elevate our community together as one. Not this division, not this tribal thing, not this.
We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. There's only been one perfect person in history,
Yes.
and I answer to him.
That's the only person we all answer to. Yes,
No, I
David.
hear you. Well, we're getting close to the end of the show. So, Eloy, Francisco, Macha, Camburla.
Hey, you got
All
it,
right.
Dave.
How can people help you? I mean, other than get out early and in person to vote, folks, but where can they contact you to help with donations, help with volunteer work, whatever?
Oh, I appreciate that, Dave. So first and foremost, thank you so much. If you can please visit my website, it's macha4lcps.net.
MACHA.
macha4lcps.net. Or you can send an email to francisco@macha4lcps.net. Go to my website. I am on Facebook. Please engage me. Ask me questions, but spread the message. Spread this word to the rest of the community, and please vote. Please have your voice be heard in this local election.
Eloy, it's been a pleasure.
As
I
always,
expect to see you on the school board.
I appreciate that, Dave.
All right, folks, you know who to vote for. See you next week.